Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yasoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Yasoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Yasoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Yasoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yasoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Yasoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa Prabhu Śrīmad His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa Prabhu Śrīmad His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Srila Thakur Bhakti Vinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glory to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. Go Premananda Hari Hari Bo. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. All together, please. Om Jnana Timirandasya Ganandana Salakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yukta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Prijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padang Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapcha Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavanishwari Rishabhana Sudadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam translation and commentary by Srila Prabhupada. Today's verse number 7 of chapter 10, entitled The Opulence of the Absolute. So please repeat. Etāṁ vibhūtiṁ yogam cha mama yo vetti tattvataḥ so vikalpena yogena yujyate nātra saṁśayaḥ etāṁ vibhūtiṁ yogam cha mam yo vetti tattvataḥ so vikalpena yogena yujyate nātra saṁśayaḥ etāṁ vibhūtiṁ yogam cha mama yo vetti tattvataḥ so vikalpena yogena yujyate nātra saṁśayaḥ. Okay.
Mama yo vetti tattvataḥ so vikalpena yogena yujyate nātra saṁśayaḥ etāṁ vibhūtiṁ yogam cha mama yo vetti tattvataḥ so vikalpena yogena yujyate nātra saṁśayaḥ.
Don't play this.
etāṁ vibhūtiṁ yogam cha mam ya vetti tattvataḥ
Na yogena tattvataḥ
vikalpen yogena
yogena kaugam cha yujyate satra saṁśayaḥ
etāṁ vibhūtiṁ yogam cha
etāṁ vibhūtiṁ yogam cha
mama yo vetti tattvataḥ
mama yo vetti tattvataḥ
vikalpena yogena
vikalpalyena yogena
yujyate nātra saṁśayaḥ.
saṁśayaḥ. Vaishnavis.
etāṁ vibhūtiṁ yogam cha
Evam vibhūtiṁ yogam cha mama yogena tattvataḥ kimcha jayuniyam sayaḥ. Okay, word for word, please repeat. Etāṁ, all this. vibhūtiṁ, opulence, yogam, mystic power, cha, also, mama, of mine, yaha, anyone who, vetti, knows, tattvataḥ, factually, saha, he, avikalpena, without division, yogena, in devotional service, yujyate, is engaged, no, never, atra, here, saṁśayaḥ, doubt. Translation, Srila Prabhupada. One who is factually convinced of this opulence and mystic power of mine engages in unalloyed devotional service. Of this there is no doubt. Please repeat. One who is factually convinced of this opulence and mystic power of mine engages in unalloyed devotional service. Of this there is no doubt. Purport, Srila Prabhupada. The highest summit of spiritual perfection is knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Very good sentence, to start, The highest summit of spiritual perfection is what? Knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Unless one is firmly convinced of the different opulences of the Supreme Lord, he cannot engage in devotional service. Generally, people know that God is great, but they do not know in detail how God is great. Here are the details. If one knows factually how God is great, then naturally he becomes a surrendered soul and engages himself in the devotional service of the Lord. When one factually knows the opulences of the Supreme, there is no alternative but to surrender to him. That's also a nice sentence. When one factually knows the opulences of the Supreme, there is no alternative but to surrender to him. This factual knowledge can be known from the descriptions in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and Bhagavad-gītā and similar literatures. In the administration of this universe, there are many demigods distributed throughout the planetary system, and chief of them are Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and the four great Kumaras and the other patriarchs. There are many forefathers of the population of the universe, and all of them are born of the Supreme Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna is the original forefather of all forefathers. These are some of the opulences of the Supreme Lord. When one is firmly convinced of them, he accepts Krishna with great faith and without any doubt, and he engages in devotional service. All this particular knowledge is required in order to increase one's interest in the loving devotional service of the Lord. One should not neglect to understand fully how great Krishna is, for by knowing the greatness of Krishna, one will be able to be fixed in sincere devotional service. Makam karochi vachalam bhangam laite girim yar kripa tamaham bande Shri Guru Nidatarinam. When one who is factually convinced of this opulence and mystic power of mine engages in unalloyed devotional service, of this there is no doubt. So, one who is factually convinced of this opulence and mystic power of mine. So Krishna is saying this after the earlier verses. So let's just revise what is this mystic power and opulence. So Krishna, at the beginning, he says something very interesting. Listen again, O mighty armed Arjuna, because you are my dear friend. At the beginning of the other chapter, 9th, he said, because you're never envious, because you're very devoted to me. I am telling you this knowledge. So now I'm telling you it again. Repetition is necessary for understanding, right? Sadhana bhakti means we regularly chant, we regularly hear, we regularly take darshan, so on. So listen again. Because you are my dear friend, so Krishna is going to tell all his opulences and mystic power, but he's telling it to his friend, and he's not boasting. You know, sometimes people ask us, oh, how did you become a devotee? And we embellish the story and we turn ourselves into an avatar. So the false ego bursts forward. But Krishna is not boasting here. He is the absolute Supreme Lord. He's beyond material ego and so on and so forth. He's telling this to his friend. Why? And that's what we just read in number 7. Because if you understand all this mystic power and opulence, then you will engage in devotional service. And that's good for you. That's good for you, Arjuna, and that's good for everyone that's following in your footsteps. So I'm not boasting. I'm telling you this is what you should meditate upon. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam. We should remember Krishna in this way. And we can visualize and contemplate these points. For your benefit, you see. For your benefit. I'm not just, turning myself into the Supreme Lord. I'm already that. For your benefit, I shall speak to you further, giving knowledge that is better than what I have already explained. So if you remember in the first 6 chapters, Karma Yoga, the nature of the soul, Varnashram, all these things, these are all necessary because Bhagavad-gītā teaches karma, bhakti, and then jnana. The middle 6 chapters are bhakti, first chapters are karma and jnana predominantly. But all this karma and jnana is related in relationship to bhakti. But here we are getting into pure bhakti, the nature of the Supreme Lord. Just like Prabhupada said in the first sentence. The summit of knowledge, spiritual knowledge, is to know the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So if we study this, we are studying the summit of all knowledge. And once that Supreme Lord is understood and realized, then bhakti becomes, let us say, the path that the soul enters. We won't say automatically, because we always have free will and free choice, but the attraction will be there. And also by understanding this opulence, we'll see later, sinful reactions or cloud or karma fall and within the mind becomes dissipated. Because just like the light dissipates darkness. So number 2, neither the hosts of demigods nor the great sages know my origin or opulences, for in every respect I am the source of the demigods and the sages. So that's quite clear. The great sages, that means the Saptarishi, Atri Muni, Kashyapa, Vishramita, Vasishta, Kashyapa, so on, and the 7. I think I looked it up some time ago. Here are the 7 great sages. Atri, Vasishta, Kashyapa, Vishramita, Gautama, Janmajagni, Bhadaraj. So at the end of Lord Brahma's day, there is a partial destruction, pralaya, in the universe. And then the next day, the 7 great sages are different personalities. They last for one day. And these 7 and the 14 Manus and the 4 Kumaras, they make the 25 patriarchs under Lord Brahma. In the, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 8, 13, 15 to 16, it gives a list of the different rishis for the next day of Lord Brahma. We're in the 7th Manu, which is Vivasvata, Manu. We're in the middle of it, actually. So, the four Kumaras, just to, you're all very learned, Sanaka, Sanat Kumar, Sananda, and Sanatana. So the 7 rishis, the 14 Manus throughout the day of Lord Brahma, and the 4 Kumaras, 25. So they're considered the patriarchs, or forefathers, or leading personalities to govern humankind in the universe during that day of Brahma. So, but here, it's very interesting the way it's translated. Neither the hosts of demigods nor the great sages know my origin or opulences. Know my origin. So we're going to find in the next verse, yes, that Krishna makes the point that I don't have an origin. And this is the key point, that if we realize and contemplate this topic of Krishna, that he is unborn, aja, anadi, just like Lord Brahma says, anadi ardi govinda. Once we realize that Krishna is the origin, he is without origin himself, but he is the origin of everything, then this is a remarkable point. And this is why Krishna says in today's verse, therefore you will understand my mystic opulence. We've said many times that, especially in the material world, there is a scientific aspect to reality. You know, atoms and molecule and logic and argument and so on. But ultimately, the universe is resting upon the mystic power of Krishna. He is supporting all the scientific principles, electromagnetism and so-called gravity and so forth. But that is resting on his mystic power. That means it is beyond logic, because the Supreme Lord is achintya. So this achintya aspect becomes prominent when we see the next verse. I am the source of the demigods and sages. Now, if you say that, I am the source of my children, that does not mean that I have no source myself, right? It could be argued. I'm the source of the demigods, the sages. But now Krishna says, I am the beginning source. And that will come in number 8. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matak sarvam prabhatate. Here's number 3. He who knows me as the unborn, ajam, as the beginningless, as the Supreme Lord of all the world, he only, undeluded among men, is freed from all sins. So only he who understands this, 1, I'm unborn. Everybody else is born, right? I'm born from mother and father, from a material angle. They're born from somebody, and this, so on and so forth. And this goes all the way up to Krishna, because Kashyapa and his wives, Aditi and Diti, they were progenitors, and so many of the Saptarishis were progenitors. I looked it up. Yes, and they all had different things. So, Krishna himself has no progenitor. So this takes a little contemplation for the materially conditioned. Because we're always thinking, okay, you know, where do you come from? Who's your mother? Who's your family? Who's this and that? But actually, everyone descends from the Supreme Lord in different gotras, right? One time I was going to see Balaji in South India, and the Brahmin asked me, what gotra are you? I said, Achyuta gotra. He said, okay. So everyone is Achyuta, that means Krishna, the infallible Lord. So we're all descended. Actually, on this point, it is very interesting. A couple of days ago, I watched a video. It was on YouTube. Oh no, it was on BitChute. And it was about anthropology. Now, you know anthropology? Anthropology is the science of mankind, where we came from. So, you must have heard, maybe when you were in school or something, they were telling you the first men came from southern Africa. An ape turned into a semi-human, and then out of Africa, they call it the out of Africa theory. And then out of Africa they came up, some went to Europe, some went on the Silk Road. It wasn't there then. We're talking according to them. They came to India, and then they went to Indonesia, and they went up to Russia. And then there was a land bridge between Russia and Alaska, present day. And then they came down to North America, and then they went to South America. That's been their theory. And it all started with an ape or two in southern Africa. But this documentary, it was very interesting that this theory that they've been proposing for so long is now rejected, because they've taken DNA samples here and there in Indonesia, in China, in Africa, Indo-European Africa, and they've found that they're not all related in that way. They're not. Like the Europeans, they have no relationship. The African type has no relation to the European. They have some way, I can't pretend to know everything, but there's markers in the DNA chart that shows you're related to this and that. So, they found that no, there is no common ancestry that grew like a tree out of South Africa. So I was thinking, okay, now go a step further. Who created all those people? You're saying they're not related in a family sense, that they're too distinct, their DNAs. But who created them? But we know, from the Vedas, we know that they're all descended from the Manus, from the Rishis, from the Saptarishis. They're descending. They're all descending from Lord Brahma. There is different gotras and different sages and this and that and so on. And that knowledge is still there in India, especially amongst the astrologers and the Brahmins. They know all that, the details of that. But it's interesting to note that the materialists want to put everything, there was matter, and then there was monkeys, and then there was humans. They want to make matter the cause of all causes, right? That's materialism. They explain everything in terms of atoms and molecules. But actually, the explanation comes from Krishna. It is a descending process. Lord Brahma, different gotras, different devatas, different interactions, different great sages, and they all descended down through the Saptarishis, from Swargaloka down to Bhumandala. Kashyapa, he was a great progenitor. He created the Nagas and so many, not just the Asuras, the Devatas, everything, from his different wives, Aditi and Diti. So the details are there if you want to research, but the materialists will not accept that because they don't want to accept the Supreme Lord. They don't want to explain an achintya personality who is the cause of all causes, like Lord Brahma says, Sarva karana karanam, anadir adir govind. So they want to say matter. And in that way, they remain sinful. Because here it says, he who knows me as the unborn, number one, as beginningless, that's also mystical, is it not? And everything we know in this material function has a beginning and an end. But Krishna has no beginning. So that's a matter for contemplation. And that's the kind of thing the great sages do. They contemplate. What does it mean that Krishna is beginningless? And then, like Lord Brahma was enlightened, they become enlightened for their tapasya by the Supreme Lord. And they understand, yes, beginningless. He's unborn. So the absolute truth is not a vacuum, it's a Supreme Person. And as we realize that, as the Supreme Lord of all the worlds, Maheshwaram, as we realize that, he only, undiluted among men, is freed from sins. So you become freed from sins, but that does not mean you have bhakti, right? It means you're liberated from material misconception, muktir. In the second chapter, Bhagavatam, muktir hitavan yata rupam swarupena avastiti. What is real mukti? Real mukti is to be situated in your relationship with the Supreme. A lesser understanding of mukti is that you're liberated from material affinity. You're liberated from the modes of material nature. You're liberated from material misconceptions. But that is the platform upon which bhakti can be developed, because bhakti is transcendental. So, he undiluted. So if you want to become liberated from all this material conditioning that we received in schools and television and documentaries and radios and newspapers and magazines, then if you want to become undiluted, you should contemplate this. Here Krishna is giving instruction. One thing, unborn, beginningless. So these are points for contemplation. And then you can, as Krishna said, anyway, now 4 and 5 he says, I've created this universe. He said that in the previous, remember verse number 4 in the previous chapter. He says, by me and my avyakta murtina, unmanifest form, this whole universe is pervaded. That unmanifest form is a reference to Paramatma. All beings are in me as Paramatma, but I as Bhagavan and not in them. But in the heart of a devotee, Bhagavan is situated. That is actually true Vaishnava Diksha. True Diksha means initiation. So if there's a sincere disciple and a potent spiritual master, it means, initiation, start means that this person is now a resident of transcendence. And therefore he has Krishna in the heart, Shamsundar in the heart, not Paramatma. Paramatma is for those that are still under the modes, still in ignorance. So, Krishna, that is the mystic power of a true Vaishnava, that he can open the spiritual world. What does it say in the Bhagavatam? Mahat sevam dvaram ahor vimuktes. That service to the Mahatma. Who is the Mahatma? Mahatmanas tamam patha devim prakritim ashrita. The Mahatma is somebody who is devim prakritim. He's under the spiritual energy. So if you link to him, if you perform seva to him, you're linked to the spiritual platform, not the three modes, the material energy. That is the science. But it is also mystical, because it is the Kripa Shakti that is embodied in the Vaishnava Guru. Also there is that verse, definition, sometimes Prabhupada would often quote it, Shrotriyam Brahmanishtakyam. This is from the Gautama Puran. Which Puran? Anyway, the definition of a guru, Shrotriyam, he should know the Vedas, all the argumentation of the Vedas for the benefit of the disciple, to clear the doubts of the disciple. And then Brahmanishta. He should be fixed in transcendence. So he should be an uttamadhikari. The guru should be an uttamadhikari. And then by serving him, one is linked to the transcendent platform. So then Krishna says, explains, okay, I'm unborn, beginningless. And then he says, look, all the things that you see in the material world, I have created all these rasas, these situations, intelligence, knowledge, freedom from doubt, delusion, forgiveness, truthfulness, control of senses, control of the mind, happiness, distress, birth, death, fear, fearlessness, non-violence, equanimity, satisfaction, austerity, charity, fame, and infamy. All these various qualities of living beings are created by me alone. So, not only does Krishna create the material world, or the Chit Shakti in the spiritual world, but all the different states and qualities, bhavas, natures of the living entity, all the different bhavas, all these different moods, they are all part of the creation. They are not arising from the living entity because of his mood or nature. It is actually part of the creation. So the living entity in the material world is reacting with these qualities through the three modes. And therefore sometimes he's knowledgeable, sometimes he's intelligent, sometimes he's deluded, sometimes he has control of the mind, birth, death, fear, sometimes he's fearful. All these different moods, they are all part and parcel in a subtle way of the living in the material modes. So we're interacting with the creation of Krishna at all times. But in the material world, because we don't understand Krishna as beginningless, unborn, Maheshwaram, the supreme controller, we're fixed on Sochati Nakangshati. In the material world, people are Sochati, they're hankering, and then they're lamenting, right? Oh, now I'm an old man. I should have married that other girl. I lament. I wanted 4 children, 2 girls, 2 boys. I got 4 boys, no girls. I lament. So we're desiring, hunkering, I want this, I want that, I want to be this, and then we don't get it, we lament. And even if we get it, we're not satisfied. So then what comes after lamentation is frustration. And then comes anger. And when anger is there, intelligence is lost. Krishna says, you fall down into the material pool and you start doing destructive things. So hankering, what's that verse? Brahmabhuta prasanatmana soshati nakangshati samaksarbeshu bhuteshu madbhaktim labate param. That if you come to this Brahman platform, then you don't hanker and lament. You don't hanker, you're hankering for Krishna, you're desiring to satisfy the spiritual master, Gaur-Nitai, and the Supreme Lord in that way, but you're not lamenting. In the material world, people lament. But a devotee, when he's undergoing some material difficulty, he doesn't lament. Oh, I'm sick. Oh, it's not fair. He thinks it's Krishna's mercy. This is the important point. Many times we will be disappointed how things turn out. People may speak badly or this, or the wife runs away with the bank account or something like that. So we lament. I should have married that other girl. No, but actually the devotee thinks, Krishna's mercy. Chalega. Kuch nahi hai. Bhagwan kripa se sab theek hoga. That is the Krishna conscious way. You just think, never mind. Now I continue with my bhajan uninterrupted. It's Krishna's mercy. And there's that verse is in the Nectar of Devotion, Yene Rivindamak. You know that the devotee who, though he undergoes difficulties, he sees it, oh, this is the result of my past karmas, this is the mercy of Krishna, and I still pay obeisances to the Supreme Lord, then he rightfully inherits the spiritual world. Just as a faithful son inherits the property of the father. That's the example given. So we don't lament. We have material conditioning, we're trying to overcome it, some problems arise, health, mental, tension, social, whatever. We just think, Krishna's mercy. And we don't point the finger. We just think, oh, this is happening to me. It has the sanction of the Supreme Lord. So let me continue undisturbed. Na soshati na kankshate. Samak sarveshu bhuteshu. And that Krishna says, that's 18th chapter, I believe. Yes. And just remain equipoised. Why? Because when you're equipoised, you can remember spiritual master. You can remember, I'm part of the family of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I'm the servant of the servant of the servant of Radha Krishna. But if we lament and we become angry and frustrated, then we go into the modes and so on and so forth. So sadhu sangha is very important. I was listening to a lecture by Prabhupada just a couple of days ago, and he said, he's talking about Krishna consciousness. And he said, how do you get this Krishna consciousness? He said, you get it from two ways. You get it from Shastra, and you get it from the sadhu. That's what Prabhupada says. Sadhu sangha, sava shastra hoy, lava mata sadhu sangha, sava siddhi hoy. So, one of the things Prabhupada says before he passed on, he was always look for the best association. And that association will inspire you. But this knowledge also from Shastra, Krishna is saying, consider me in three ways we just heard. Unborn, beginningless. That means he's above time. Why? Because he is the creator of time. Kalosmi aham, right? He's the controller of time, right? Sometimes people say, oh, I've become God by meditation. Oh, can you lengthen the day by 1 second? Right? Can you decrease the day by 1 second? Well, you're God. You can't even control time. Huh? You're God and you're God and you're getting old and grouchy and stupid. You can't control time. If you're God, make yourself navayovanam, like Krishna. So this is all ignorance. Because instead of contemplating the Shastra and the Sadhu's information, they are concocting. Just like those scientists. For hundreds of years or 100 years, they've been saying, oh, we're all descended, we're all one big family, and the great-great-great-grandfather is a few apes. But now the DNA has disproved that. So they're probably scratching their head right now thinking, we have to make a new theory. We have to speculate. But here, from the Shastra, the Sadhu, Prabhupada, and the Gita, we are getting all this perfect, and it's satisfactory knowledge. If we study and follow principles and chant, then we feel satisfied in the heart. And that's what's in the Uddhava Gītā. In the Uddhava Gītā it says that just like a hungry man, when he goes to a good restaurant, has a good meal, he feels strength, he feels hunger dissipated, and he gets energy. So the same way a devotee, when he gets good spiritual knowledge, he gets It becomes nishta, and he becomes satisfied, and he gains energy for his sadhana. So it's very important to study the Shastra along with our chanting, because the Shastra will satisfy the intelligence, you see. And that will make us fixed. When we study the Shastra, we hear from the sadhus, we hear Prabhupada's lectures, so on and so forth, and we think, yes, this is satisfactory. And then we become inspired. But also, like I said before, we can contemplate that tonight. We can contemplate it every day or for 10,000 years. Krishna is unborn. He's beginningless. And he is the master of all the worlds. So why does that give liberation? I think we touched upon it last week. That Prabhupada, all the acharyas say, when you first approach Krishna, you must approach him in his Aishwarya aspect. You must realize that he's Maheshwaram. He's beyond material, he's beginningless, he's unborn. That is Aishwarya. That is not the cowherd boys wrestling with Krishna and Balaram on the bank of the Jamuna. So before we go to Madhurya, the honey relationship with Krishna, we have to realize the Aishwarya aspect. And by contemplating this opulence and mystic power of Krishna, that Krishna is bringing forward to Arjuna here, then we become purified of our misconception, undiluted amongst men, we become free of, and then it's very easy to perform bhakti. When you're free of sinful reaction, at least to what is this, nasta prayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata say, that if you study Bhagavat, you study about Krishna, then passion and ignorance will go down and you'll be in the mode of goodness, you'll be fixed. Brahmabhuta prasanatma. You can go to Vishuddha. You can go to pure goodness very easily by good sadhana. And then you will realize Krishna directly and personally. Don't think that's just for Prahlad Maharaj or Dhruva Maharaj or Bharat Maharaj. We should realize that we should be enthusiastic, patient. Rupa Goswami says, we should think, yes, I'm a Angsha of Krishna. I'm made to realize Krishna. I'm not made for the material modes. I'm made to be the confidant of Krishna. I'm made to be a resident of Goloka. But to go to Goloka, first we have to have this kind of mukti where we give up material misconception, and then on the basis of that, we realize the kripa of Lord Chaitanya. Liberated from material illusion by contemplating the Aishwarya aspect of Krishna, Haridam, that's there in the Brahma Samhita, Golokla Namni Dina Damni Tuleta Tasya, that there's Devi Dham, there's Mahesh Dham, there's Haridam, and there is Golokadam. So Haridam is the place of Aishwarya, and we can contemplate that. Everyone except Krishna as Narayan, the great shelter of all souls. But how to go beyond that? By Mahaprabhu, Namo Mahavaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradaya. By the mercy of Mahaprabhu. In the beginning of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Lord Chaitanya, there's verses there. I broke open the storehouse of love of God, and I tasted it, and the supply increases, and I'm standing. Who will take it? Who will take this prem from me? Who? That means you have to take it. I'm not forcing it. Who will take it? You have to go to Mahaprabhu and say, look, give me your mercy. And Mahaprabhu also in the Chaitanya Charitamrita says, Charibhav, I have come to make the whole world dance with Charibhav. That means conjugal ras, parental, Sakyabhav and Dasyabhav, the four rasas of Goloka. So that is there, open to us. But we have to desire it. So we gain liberation and we realize the kripa of Krishna, Mahaprabhu, then we realize the sweetness of Golok Leela. That is the proper step by step. The 7 great sages, and before them the 4 other great sages, and the Manus, 4 other great sages, that's the Kumaras. Yes. The progenitors of mankind, the Manus are progenitors, come from me, born from my mind, and all living beings populating the various planets descend from them. You see that? That's what we were just talking about, right? The 7 great sages, and before them, the 4 other great sages, that is they come before the 4 Kumaras, Sanaka, Sanatana, Sanakuma, and Sanandana. They come before the 7 sages. And the Manus, like I say, 14 Manus, in 1,000 Divya cycles, they rule over mankind during the day of Brahma. But when the day ends, there is a partial destruction, and it goes all the way up to Swargaloka. But above Swargaloka there's Mahaloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, and Satyaloka. They're not destroyed. It's explained that the lower creation, down to Patala and all that, that is withdrawn within the body of Lord Brahma. So this is the mystic opulence of Lord Brahma. We have been, like I say, conditioned to think in logical terms, chemical terms, biological terms. But the universe and the creation is ultimately mystical. That means it goes beyond material calculation, experimentation. So, because of our conditioning and education and thoughts and television and magazines in that light, we should contemplate these 3 things. This is what Krishna is telling us. Contemplate, I'm unborn. I'm without origin. I'm beginningless. I'm the Maheshwara. And then the delusion goes and we become rooted in the realization of Krishna. And then we can go to Madhurya and Goloka and understand Mahaprabhu. So then that's what Krishna is saying in this today's verse, right? One who is factually convinced of this opulence, I'm unborn, beginningless, I'm creator of all these qualities, and mystic power. You see? Krishna's mystic power. That means that it is beyond material calculation. The only aspect that is necessary for Krishna's mystic power to operate is his Icha Shakti. That's explained in the Shastra. Icha Shakti means desire. He desires something, and then the Kriya Shakti enacts it. Now just think that. As soon as Krishna desires something, without obstacle, it is created. So therefore, convince Krishna, everyone individually convince Krishna to make yourself, a pure devotee. Do you understand? If you can convince Krishna to think he should be a pure devotee, then there's no obstacle. Right? So this is bhakti, is it not? We are convincing Krishna that we want to go to the spiritual world, that we've had enough of this world. And if Krishna thinks, Yes. Let them all come. Then, as soon as because he is the final principle. You see the point? He's the final principle. If Krishna is convinced, then you don't need any other visa. You just need his sanction. Or his, yes. And he wants that, right? He wants that. He doesn't want us to remain in this world. So one who is convinced about this opulence and mystic power of mine engages in unalloyed devotional service. Of this there is no doubt. So the Shastra, yes, it's there. We can read and it's wonderful. But like I say, we can contemplate these aspects. We should hold them within our mind. We should contemplate them. When we chant, we should remember these things. And that means we should hear and chant. Shravanam, Kirtanam. Otherwise we just chant and we might think, oh, I heard this on the cinema or something. No, you have to combine the words of the sadhu, the words of the Shastra, the parampara with your chanting. And then smaranam, you see. Shravanam, Kirtanam, smaranam. And then smaranam, when you remember the form of Krishna, right? Automatically. And then you remember the associates of Krishna, the Sangha, Krishna Sangha. Then you remember the Leela of Krishna. And then Padasevanam. Then you become attracted to a particular service on that platform. And then you can practice Rag Bhakti. Because relationship to Krishna is not just relationship, it's relationship in a certain mood. So from the liberated platform, that mood becomes self-evident to the devotee. So we should let that mood arise naturally from our soul. Everybody has a constitutional nature. We don't have to imagine at an immature stage. This is where some of the apasampradayas go wrong. They think, I want that, but I've been watching television every day for the last 50 years, but I want that. No, let it arise naturally from your soul, from a purified platform. It will come. And it will come when you realize Krishna. Because that means you realize now. It will not come from speculation or self-motivated conceptions of what I want. I'll meditate in this way and I'll march into Goloka by the strength of my meditation. No, you have your relationship. You have the Shastra, you have Bhagavatam, you have Mahaprabhu, you have chanting, you have everything in your grasp. We just have to be, like Rupa Goswami says, enthusiastic, patient, and act according to regulative principles, day in, day out. And if we have a problem, then we don't lament, we think, now I must continue. Right? And we realize from these words today that we're contemplating the mystic power of Krishna, beyond this material world. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So thank you for your kind attention. Any quick questions? Where is Sachi today?
On the service.
Huh?
Krishna. On the service of Krishna.
Oh, Krishna Hall. Where is Krishna Hall? They knocked it down.
Goshala.
Huh? Goshala. Anyway, quick question. You're all very intellectual, smart people. Huh? Tulsi.
She was in uniform.
She was in uniform.
Was it?
Yes. Well, devotees, just like Vishramita, they have many forms. They're not restricted to one. Narada Muni. Tulsi has her gopi form also, I believe, yes. And she has her expansion as Tulsi. So she's the soul of the Tulsi plant. And because she's the soul of the Tulsi plant is spiritualized. Just like Ganga Devi is the soul of the Ganga River, so the Ganga River is spiritualized. Though you may pick up some Ganga River and it's H2O, it's her body. Just like we hear the great pure devotees who liberated, their bodies are spiritualized. Though, you know, there's blood and bones there, and atoms and molecules. But because the soul is on the transcendental platform, then the body is spiritualized. So, same way with Tulsi. Same way with the Dham. The soul of the Dham, the personality of the Dham, the Leela of the Dham, spiritualizes the Dham. So Tulsi has her Manjari form, her plant form, but she's the soul of that. And that being so pure and established, Tulsi is spiritualized. Do you see the point? Yeah. So, we'll finish on that point. Remember what do we sing? Morae abilas vilas kunjadiyovas. So by the mercy of, you know, just like Rupa who is it? Narottam, he's singing Shri Rupa Manjari Pada. So we can pray to all these great residents of the spiritual world and pray for their blessing, pray for their intercession. And they're well disposed. That's all those elements there, fearfulness and anger and social. No, that's not there in the spiritual world. Everyone is Atmaram, and everyone's welcome. Here, everyone's competing. I want to be in charge of this. I want to be in charge. I want to this. I want this. That's not there in the spiritual world. Everyone is in ecstasy. Huh? Yeah, it's all competition. I want to be Ishvara. Right? I want to be in charge of Ukraine. I want to be in charge of Palestine. I want to be in charge of South Africa. I want to be the big man. But time comes and turns you into dust. So, this knowledge we are very fortunate to understand because of Prabhupada's preaching efforts on behalf of Bhaktisiddhanta, Bhakti-Vinod, all the Goswamis, all these great personalities. They've given all this Ganga, this stream of Ganga into the material world. Sadhu Sangha, Bhagavad-gītā, Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. See you all next Friday. Hare Krishna.